What's going on, guys? It's Paul from Prior Witness. Hopefully you enjoyed that little ditty I came up with. Well, let's get right into it because I don't want to make this too long. So this was the Tech 21 PSA 2.0. It's an analog amp sim, amp modeler kind of deal. It does both bass and guitar. So that's something. That's kind of cool. So what did I do in the video? Well, let's do that first. We're going to go over how to use the PSA 2.0. We're also going to go over my little opinion and then just kind of go over who's it for. So first and foremost, all I did was I took the guitar parts. I used a couple clean presets. So I used what they call the clean Fender preset, super clean, honestly. And then I used a funk preset. And then I just kind of tweaked them just a little bit, ever so slightly. And then I ran those into an IR. From York Audio, and then I took the distortion tones. That was the rectifier tone is what I took, and then the JMP1 Marshall tone, that was the other one that I took. Both of them just a little tweaked a little bit, and then ran those into IRs as well. The only thing that I didn't use an IR for, I used the built-in cap simulation, and that was for the bass parts, and that was based on the SVT, which is what I used. And you know, the built-in cap sounds great on this thing. Honestly. So how do you use this thing? Well, essentially, you've got this lovely unit. You've got all these knobs up here, and you're probably wondering what in the heck all those do. Well, so you got, sorry, I got to look a little bit. That's buzz, a punch, and crunch. Essentially what that is, just replace that. For buzz is your bottom end. Your punch is the punchy mid-range, right? Your crunch is the crunchy stuff at the end, your little sizzle, the treble, right? So if you look at it that way, you should be just fine. The reason why they didn't call it just bass, mid, and treble is because you're not just messing with the EQ, but you're messing with the saturation as well and the grit and all that stuff. So the more you crank it, the more distorted it gets, so on and so forth. You got other things here. You got drive and you got gain. So gain down here, that's the distortion, right? And your drive here, that's like your input drive. You know, that's how much input gain you're going to put in there. So if you want to overdrive the preamp section a little bit, you can do that. You got a high and a low section here. So all that is, those are just shelves. So anything below 1 kilohertz is your low, and so you can mess with that. Anything above 1 kilohertz, that's your high. You can mess with that. And you got level and trim. Those are your volume controls. You got built-in cab right here. So it'll tell you right here, you know, it'll flash purple or not on you if you're using the built-in cab simulation or not, which is really nice. And then you got all these buttons here, and that's to, you know, maneuver throughout all your presets. You even got MIDI over here if you really want to mess with that too. So that's pretty cool. It takes pedals very well, right? That's the other thing I really wanted to get across. You know, for the longest time, I ran a distortion pedal into it as a Fender clean, and I was able to get some really nice tones that way for a long time. I did that. It sounds great. It really does. And then for bass, that's the other reason why you buy this thing, is because it does bass very, 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 very well. And it's an analog solution. So that's another reason why you want to get that thing, you know, as opposed to getting some kind of digital unit like the Nuax, you know, Amp Core, you know, something cheap like that. Or maybe you want to up your game, get a Strymon Iridium, or you want to go, you know, maybe do a Helix or something like that. Some of the other digital amp modeling that's out there. Well, this thing is completely all analog. There is no digital circuitry in here whatsoever, except on how to store your presets. That's it. Seriously, that's it. And then the MIDI, you just select which presets you want. Some sounds are great, some sounds are bad. That's kind of the way it is with anything, right? But in this thing, you definitely want to go for the Fenders and the Marshalls on here. All those things sound great. The Mesa stuff, unfortunately, not so great. So if you want to buy this thing thinking that, ooh, I get Fender, Marshall, and Mesa, hold your horses, Rocky, Johnny, whatever your name is. Might want to stick with that actual Mesa stuff that you got, because this thing does not do it very well at all. The rectifier's okay in it, though. That's like the one tone in it that I think sounds okay. It doesn't sound great. It's got its own weird kind of character to it, but you know, it's good, you know, and that's why you listen to it. I just wanted you to hear for yourself what you thought. You know, if you thought it was garbage, then okay, it's garbage. If you thought, hey, no, that's pretty cool, okay, great. And again, the bass is pretty good. So who's it for? Analog definitely has its quirks. So like some cons right out of the gate. Like I said, not all the sounds are great. There's no, you know, menus. For some, that's a good thing. For some, that could be a bad thing. With the amount of knobs that are on here, it might get a little frustrating. You know, it's not like you can just lean down and just tweak this real fast. You're not going to be able to do that, or at least I never could. Secondly, it has a lot of noise. Now, maybe it's just my unit. I don't know. I tried to clean it up as much as I could in the mix. Hopefully you didn't hear it too bad. It gets very, very noisy. Even when I tried to connect it along with the rest of my pedal board, it was even worse. So I had to keep it on its own pedal supply, and then it was fine. So that's an annoying thing. But positives are it's very flexible. It's got that classic Tech 21 sound. It's based off the old Tech 21 PSA 1.1 rack unit. So they shrunk it down into this nice little pedal form. So that's really cool. All the switches are very responsive. You won't have any issues there. The MIDI works great. I've tried that before. Again, it's a nice little unit, and it fits great on a pedal board. In some ways, though, I will say for me, this was actually a bad thing because of the way it's long, so it was kind of awkward on my board. But I don't know, maybe that wouldn't be a big deal to you. Just depends on what you like and what you don't like. But it's great. It's great. I think it's fantastic. And again, I think who it's for is if you already got an established pedal board and you want to run it into an all analog solution that is, fairly versatile, that, is fairly easy to use, that has a few presets built in. There you go. I think this is it. There are other analog pedals out there on the market that supposedly don't take pedals as well as this thing does. Hopefully you learned something today. Hopefully this was helpful to you. If you're in the market for one of these things or just curious to see what it sounded like, there you go. Take it easy. Rock on. Have a great day.